For the past 5 years, Help Heal Humanity has successfully run an elementary school in Canaan, Haiti. Due to COVID-19, the political unrest, and the recent earthquakes, food is scarce. The students attending our program are coming to school starving, and therefore causing a disruption in their academic goals. We need your help, now more than ever, to provide these students with the nourishment they need to continue their education. Our goal is to raise $100,000 so we can feed 100 kids lunch daily and send them to school in the upcoming year. Thank you for your support.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
How are you today, Miss Barbara Beckley?
You know, it's just been so long since I seen the Queen Serena. I mean, oh my God, you just can't stay away from me that long.
Right?
I know you're like, Barbara, we just talked this morning.
In the afternoon and the evening. So, yeah, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing amazing as always, you know, and if I wasn't even doing that amazing, doesn't mean why complain about it, right? That's not gonna get anybody nowhere. It just makes you feel more like, ugh, like icky.
Yeah, I know. Somebody the other day was like, Serena, what's wrong with you? Because usually, you know, I'm a lot. And I'm like, oh, I'm just don't want to complain. So I'm being kind of quiet. What's the point?
And sometimes you have to do that. I mean, that's what I do. Because, you know, usually I'm like, yeah, you know, all that other stuff. And then sometimes I don't feel like the yay. So I just kind of okay, let me be the yay, quiet yay.
Yeah. But I think both our personalities are so loud and so like happy and positive that when we're not like that, people get scared, right?
They get nervous, scared. A lot of things go on in their head, like,
yeah,
okay, what's going on? Do we need to get a what they call it, a intervention?
Yes. No, just a little vacation.
Yeah, just a little vacation. And you know what, lady, you and you know this show is ours, so we can talk about stuff just personal too sometime. You deserve a vacation, lady. You deserve it. Okay, please.
Yeah.
Even if it's a stay what they call a stay vacation, where you're just not talking to anybody. Yeah, staycation, and just say, I'm not talking to anybody.
Yeah, it's coming. You know what it is? It's just I'm sure, you know, the audience out there and everybody who listens, you know, when you have multiple things happening at the same time for an extended period of time, you know, I think, you know, when you hit your limit, and I'm still doing it and I'm still going, but I'm very much looking forward to, you know, a good maybe 4 or 5 days where I just totally disconnect before I go back to the classroom, and then there's no
disengage
no
for
break
a while.
Again. Yeah. So
disengage. Somebody was telling me the other day, they said, you know what, sometimes Barbara, I just have to disengage. I'm like, you know what, I kind of like that word. I'm gonna use that sometime. I just need to disengage a minute. But
yes, but you know, speaking of me, I mean, you, Miss Barbara, you know, in the time that I've known you, you're always present, you're always available, and I'm absolutely really scared because I feel like you never sleep. Like, you know, sometimes you wake up in the middle of the night and like, unfortunately, I don't know, like I'll just look over at my phone. I'm like, does this woman, and to the people who are listening, I don't know how Barbara does it, but you know,
I've sending you texts through the whole day.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
I know you wake up like
morning, 4, 6, 9. Like it's like a 24-hour clock with you. I'm like, yeah.
You know, it's weird because I've been noticing that a lot lately. Like when thoughts or ideas just pop up, you know, I can just be like, bing, and I feel like I got to do it right then and there, else I'll forget, or you know, things happen. And that's what happens to me when I be thinking about HHH with you. And I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. I got to text with Serena. Yeah. But
Yeah.
talking about good ideas, and this is what, one of the parts about the show, just to let everybody know, it's just not me and Serena having like wonderful talk with each other, because we love that all the time. And we like to talk to you guys too. But the other thing is to give you some teachable moments that we do on the show. And before we bring our nonprofit guest on, as we're spotlighting tonight. So one of the things that I wanted to kind of go over, Serena, is I know we've been talking about the different aspects of a nonprofit, but I was thinking, I said, people, they might hear Help Heal Humanity and know your backstory and know, about Hades and the campaign. But I don't think they understand all the different aspects of Help Heal Humanity. So what I want you to do, because you do it so well, is I'm going to bring up the website of Help Heal Humanity. And I'm going to show that there's like Help Heal Humanity Yoga, Help Heal Humanity Business, Help Humanity Education. So and then the list goes on. See, Serena knows.
Yeah,
so,
it does.
I think we need to kind of give them some explanation about that, how you got to that point of adding all these different these levels of Help Humanity.
Yeah, I mean, that would be wonderful.
Okay, good. She's with me. Okay, here we go. So I'm just going to just pull it up here. Come on, technology. There we go. So there's a wonderful, wonderful Help Humanity site.
Do you know what? It is a really beautiful website, and I'd love to thank Ryan Gamble for putting in all the work and making our website what it is. I will sadly say to our audience, we haven't had an update in about since the pandemic. We haven't had an update, and the amount of work that we've done throughout the pandemic has been enormous. So we are looking for grants so that we can, give a proper update on our website and fill in all the information. And so, hopefully that'll come soon. But I think it does a good job at just, encompassing who we are and what we do.
Yes.
And, as we were speaking earlier, in forming a charity, you have to really know your why. You have to really know your purpose. You really have to know what you're doing. And, again, through trial and error, what we've come to realize is that, as much as we want to help everybody and do everything, we're really, really, really focused on the education. So we are primarily an education-based charity that focuses on providing workshops, scholarships, buildings, resources, anything, that you would do in a school building in an educational sense and with students. But the way we go about our fundraising is slightly different. And that's where all these different components of our charity come in. And so we essentially have, like 9 pillars. So if you go under our website, if you go right to the beginning, Barbara, under Get Involved. So if you see under Get Involved, we'll start with the first one. We can go through them very quickly. There's Travel for Humanity. We'll focus on.
Wait a minute, before you go, look at that wonderful picture. Look at that. Yes. That's beautiful. Keep going. Yeah. So I just have to, just.
Yeah, no, we'll go through each one. So the first one is Travel for Humanity. And what Travel for Humanity is there's 2 parts of it. So again, we're always raising funds for our educational programs and the meal programs in our educational programs. But Travel for Humanity is twofold. One of them is an actual service trip to Haiti, which means you come down to Haiti with us for 1 week. We bring you to the school. Like, this was a group that we brought in Chicago. We brought 10 people down. We like to keep the group to a minimum. And so there was the group that came down, and you'll see they brought hundreds and hundreds of suitcases. And that entire week, that's the bus that we rent, and that entire week is dedicated to service in Haiti. So we visit the school site. We visit, this was us in Cité Soleil, which was another area in Haiti that we do work in. So a Travel for Humanity trip involves going to one of our project countries. We curate the entire trip for you. And so we do programs all week long with the community. So we'll do art activities, sport activities. We'll do clothing drives. We will paint. we'll do a whole bunch of arts and crafts. And Travel for Humanity is for people who want to come, want to experience, want to give back, and impact the communities that Help Heal Humanity services. The other component of Help Heal Humanity that we were about to get started doing, but because of COVID, we were not able to, is, people who just want to travel the world, people who have those things on their bucket list, like I want to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, or I want to walk the ruins of the Mayan, or I want to go, do the Camino de Santiago. These are some like things that everybody has on their bucket list. Well, we want to start to curate those trips for people. So basically, we're going to curate the trip that you've always been wanting to do, but we're going to add in a little element of service. And while you're doing that trip, we're going to collect a little bit of funds for our charity, and we're going to give back to help our charity. So it's like dual purpose, traveling with, purpose and service in mind. So that's one of the components and one of the ways in which HHH raises funds and awareness, again, is through Travel for Humanity. The next pillar we're going to go to is Yoga for Humanity. And again, yoga is, something that I discovered in my early 30s. I fell in love with it. There is a massive yoga community, like the group that you're looking at right now on the screen. That was a group of yogis where we were all working and training together. And I'm not lying to you, out of that picture, I'd say at least 70% of these students, once they heard about what Help Heal Humanity does, they went back into their yoga communities, and all of them did by donation classes, workshops, concerts. You can see here charity yoga retreats. So Yoga for Humanity, in a nutshell, is basically using the gift of yoga, in which a lot of yogis, that's what we do. And it's doing the yoga class, doing the yoga workshop, or doing the yoga retreat with proceeds supporting Help Heal Humanity. And again, that's just using something that you already do in your life, if you're a yogi, with a certain percentage of it going back to our charity. And our charity yoga retreats have raised about, they 2018, 2019, they raised about $10,000 to $15,000 a year. But then again, during COVID, all of it stopped. So we will be picking this back up again. And again, these are just very creative ways of using the things that we do in our life to create funds and awareness for our educational programs around the world.
Well, you know what, Serena? Just to take a quick pause, this is beautiful. I mean, I can't wait till you get back to this. I'm going to have to, ever since you've been talking about yoga and I've been seeing all this, what you've been doing, and everybody just looks so nice and peaceful, I said, I got to do some yoga. I got to get into yoga.
You know what? It's yoga is a beautiful practice. I will admit, like firsthand, yoga is what I consider to be a very privileged sport and activity. It's costly. It's quite costly. So, but the pure intention of yoga is to be of service. That's actually what yoga is. It's to be at one with yourself and to be with service to the world. And so there's no better way than to pair the two of them and say, let's do yoga with the intended purpose of helping humanity. And so that's all we do is, yoga studios, yoga retreat centers, yoga teachers, come find us, partner with us, and let's do something together. So hopefully we'll remain our yoga retreats in this coming year, but if not this year, then for sure next year. And again, those are just,
look at that. Look at how peaceful that looks. I'm just like, wow.
Yeah. So I think that was us in Bali. We've been in Spain. We've been in Nicaragua. We've been in Costa Rica. We've been in Hamilton. So we have some pretty cool yogis on our side and on our team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we got time for one more, and then we can get through some other ones next week. Let's see. You want to do Dying for Humanity?
Sure.
Okay.
Oh, look at this one. I love this one. I'm going to give a big props out to to Ryan Marks and everyone at Legend. Oh my goodness. Sorry. Legend. Why can't I do it? Come on, Serena. What is wrong with you?
That's okay.
What is there? Why can't I all of a sudden? They have all their restaurants and I can't even think of what their name is. That is so bad on me. Legendary Hospitality.
Oh, wow. This looks
And
amazing.
they are incredible. And then actually this particular event was in Spain. And Dine for Humanity is basically working with restaurants. So we're working with restaurants all over the world. If they are interested, you have a restaurant, you know how to serve food, right? So we connect with you and we do a dinner party or a brunch or a lunch for humanity. So people buy tickets, they come to the event, they get their food, they get drink, we have a little raffle, and then if not all of it, then the majority of the proceeds go back to our charity. So Dining for Humanity is really, it's a celebration. It's a breakfast, a lunch, or dinner in a restaurant. Or this was a restaurant in Spain, an outdoor restaurant in Spain. And what we do is we curate an event at a restaurant with the proceeds supporting our charity.
This
And
is
that's Dining for Humanity. And again, like we said, there's 9 different pillars. Today we spoke briefly about the travel,
look
about the
at
yoga,
that.
and about the dining, right? And at the dining events, we always have musicians come in, we always have artists come in, we always have raffles, draws. So they're basically just really awesome fundraising events.
That food look
And
good.
I will say,
That food look good.
and this is what you more than anyone, Barbara, that we are just going to start to get into grants and to looking at grants, looking at government funding, looking at foundation funding for our charity. But up until now, and this has been 5 years that HHH has been running and operating, we've never actually received a grant because we've never applied for a grant. And all of our funding, like that was my big dining party in here in my hometown. That was
Wow.
one of the nights. That was just before the pandemic hit, and we actually raised $75,000 that night. It was
Wow.
incredible, and I
That
can't.
is amazing.
Yeah, so we're gonna.
Wow.
I'm gonna try to do one again before the year is up. There's Patricia. She was key in foundation and helping to build up our charity. And so, yeah, these are just pictures of the events and the dining events that we do to raise funds and awareness. The one thing,
It's funny. I was gonna say, before you, I'm gonna cut you off, but I was just gonna say that it's just really amazing how you put certain things together to go towards HHH. And I would have never thought about, like, dining and the yoga and all that to kind of link with fundraising and getting the money for it towards the.
well, I think that just came from who I am. I've always worked in bars and restaurants, and I have that Italian upbringing where it's like entertain. And because, like, I think anybody who knows the backstory about Help Heal Humanity, it started in my classroom as a teacher and an educator, right? And so when it came time to fundraising, I had to be creative because I'm not a charity. I'm not an event planner. And I got creative. And I said, Serena, you love doing yoga, the bar and restaurant industry, you like sports, you like education. Take all the aspects of your life that you're currently doing and try and make them into fundraising events. And so we have been successful by being non-traditional in our fundraising approaches. However, COVID took a big hit on us, and
Everybody.
we are going to continue to do these events, especially now that we can again. But yeah, this is the VIG. This is I'm sure you've heard me speak about Ryan Marks before. But this is his one restaurant, the VIG. He has another one called Welcome Back Cotter, which is a super cool one, and he has one that he opened again that is, if you think this one, the VIG, is beautiful, you should see his other restaurant. It is impeccable.
That is
so
beautiful.
yeah, and so if you go to our website, it talks about the different ways that you can get involved in any of these aspects, whether it's dining, whether it's yoga, whether it's education, whether it's business. So the reason why we did this is because we want to basically tell the world, it doesn't matter what you do. If you're in sports, if you're in arts, if you're in acting, if you're in singing, if you're in cooking, if you're in business, if you like, whatever you do, you can do that and give back to charity. So it's not like you have to change who you are or what you're doing. Whatever your gift is, whatever your talent is, there's something in it that you can use for just one day or one time in your life to give back to charity, and hopefully you choose our charity.
Well,
Right?
the thing that I love, just to some wonderful, first of all, thank you for going through some of those. And to let everybody that's watching, we're going to make sure we go through, because those were just like the three. I mean, there's
Yeah.
a few more, there's more. So we
Yes.
want to make sure Serena has more of that next Thursday. But what I like what you said, Serena, which is very, very smart, is that you looked at what you like. You look at the things that gives you joy, and to say, I can take that with the charity and put something together so everybody could basically appreciate, love, and give from that.
Yeah.
And that's what you did. Like you said, you took your yoga, you took the dining, the whole of the event, the plan that you like and all that. You just said, okay, let me just put all that together and create some fundraisers. And look at the one that you did, 75, you said 75,000. I'm like,
yeah, that was
amazing.
That was our actual launch party here in Canada, right? Because we got our charity status at the end of 2018. So we did our launch party in 2019 in my hometown, where, the board of directors, the Canadian board of directors, the majority of them were also from my hometown. And so we all, we filled that room. There was 250 people there. And
wow.
And then we had some incredible members of our board working in the sponsorship table. So between the ticket sales, between the drink sales, between the raffle, between the 50-50, and between the sponsorship, we had a very successful night. So anybody who's listening,
it could be done.
Ready. Yeah, I'm hoping to do one. I'm hoping to do one again in my hometown. Probably the end of October, early November, just before Christmas and the holidays. And hopefully we can be just as successful, because I think a lot of people love our HHH events.
Yeah.
I will say, whether it's a dining experience, a business experience, that was supposed to be my alarm for another day. We like to have fun, so I will say for sure, the people who have attended our local events, they always say, when are you doing another one? Because we entertain from head to toe, and we give such a good night that you kind of forget that, wow, we're actually doing something good by doing this, right? And I love that about us, there's only a couple of minutes throughout the night where I'll go on the stage and give a little bit of speech about what we're doing. But ultimately, it's a whole bunch of incredible people coming together to celebrate, love, and give back.
Well, you know what, Serena, that is just amazing. You just pour out so much your heart and soul, and you can just see it in what all you do. So again, me, I'm going to throw that love to you as always.
Yeah. But I will say, and I'm learning as I go, still 5 years in the making. I know for sure what I am good at, but I absolutely know that by myself, I can't do anything. So without the board of directors, without the volunteers, without people like you, and showing up, believing in what we're doing, helping, donating, spreading the word, there would be no such thing as HHH, right? And so I thank all the people who believe in what we're doing, join the board, give the volunteer hours, give the money, give the funds, give the prizes, because we are a community, we are a family, and we can't do this alone. So thank you to everybody, and to all the people that we haven't met yet. I can't wait to meet you. We can't wait to meet you. And that's just the key, is let's start some more collaborations. Let's get some new people involved. I love the people that we have, but anybody knows, it's, you get donor fatigue. How many times can we go to our same donors and our same supporters?
Donor fatigue.
Donor fatigue.
That does happen, right? That does happen. Yeah. Well, Serena, I just first of all, thank you for showing the love right back, and that's what it's all about. When you have an open heart, and what you have behind it is just pure love, for what you're trying to do. Everything else comes together. Everything comes together. The people come together, the volunteers, and you can't help but just say, hey, I want to be there with you. I want to be with you. I want to help you with this. So towards the end tonight, after we talk about our spotlight nonprofit that we're doing tonight, BCC Revelation, we're going to talk a little bit about the campaign. And just to let everybody know, we're going to talk about that on a weekly basis, because that's something really huge that we are really asking individuals. And we're going to kind of tell you how to do, some people's like, okay, they want money and stuff, but we're going to explain to you how we can make it easier for you. And you have to be thinking about, okay, how am I going to do this? Because we don't want to get you stressed out. We just want you to, show your heart. So with that said, we are about to go into our spotlight nonprofit. This is another wonderful thing I love about the show with me and Serena co-hosting the show, is because we get to meet other like-minded, loving hearts that is out there being world changers to the world. And I love their stories, their backstories, which we're going to hear a wonderful one from, I call Lady Queens, this wonderful queen, because it always starts with that story and then that hunger. And then you go out and create these nonprofits that are just amazing. So without ado, let me just read who we're going to be bringing. So the founder, Kelly Melissa Hansen, lost her middle sister, Carrie, to a complete suicide on February 20th, 2017. BCC stands for Because Carrie Cared. BCC also reflects on the theory behind blind carbon copy emails. A person's name is on the BCC line, and they do not know who else's name is there. It is hidden, and that is how we think about a mental health challenge. It is there, but you may not know it is there. Her goal, this Queen Kelly, is to get the hidden names listed on the BCC line to the 2 line to open up the conversation about mental health, so that they start breaking down the stigma. You cannot always see a mental health challenge or know how to address it until it's too late, and we lose a life to a complete suicide. And I'm telling you, just reading that and was looking at what she does, this is going to be good. I really want to hear her story. She's doing so much for the world. So, but before we do that, we got to thank our sponsors by bringing on our sponsors, and we'll be right back with Mrs. Kelly.
Again.
Uh-oh.
Raise your hand if you've ever been busy. Raise your hand if you've ever got tired and feel like you just need a couple days off. Most people would have both hands up right now. That's our world, fast-paced and income-driven. That's why we get caught up in our own lives so often, and that's why it's understandable when most people don't focus on worries that aren't their own. So what makes someone become a humanitarian? Someone whose whole life focuses on the welfare of other humans.
When you go back and you see kids that were living on the streets, kids had no structure, they had no routine, people who had nothing, they didn't have meals. When you see that all of a sudden they're waking up, they have structure, they have something to do, they have a meal in their belly, their life changes completely. They, like I said, their self-esteem changes, their self-worth, their ability to know who they are in the world and what they have the potential of becoming, to give that hope, to give that dream, and then to watch people actually use that to do good for themselves and others it's amazing. It becomes an addiction.
And with Serena's help, we'll find the meaning of life to a humanitarian.
There she is.
Hello. Hello, Kelly. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you also. I was taking notes as you were talking, so.
Note taker. Well, first, before you even, because you're a wonderful spotlight guest of our nonprofit, and we want to thank you. I know Serena, but both of us want to thank you for coming on the show. This is really, we love this because, again, we like to spotlight other nonprofits that are doing, just like I said, raising the bar and doing the world changing. So with yours, Kelly, I commend you. I mean, I know you do a lot of the love from you and from your sister, and it's just amazing what you're doing. So we would love to hear, the backstory and what you're doing now in the nonprofit.
Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate what you're also doing. And I love that we can kind of like get on these and listen to what you're talking about before and take down notes. Yeah, so I you kind of told my story a little bit, but I lost my middle sister to completed suicide in 2017. And really, it was one of those things that I had been working with another nonprofit for a really long time that we focused more on the adolescent aspect. But my sister was an adult. And so I wanted to kind of shift and go more into the old adult space. But over time, it has evolved a lot. So that's really where the evolution comes from. And for whatever reason, the BCC made me think of that blind carbon copy theory. And that's really our goal and our mission, is to educate people about what mental health means, how we can help somebody, whether they're suicidal or they're struggling with a mental health challenge. And the main reason is because I didn't understand what my sister was going through. And so I mean, even though she had attempted 6 other times, and for me, I was just like, I don't understand. I didn't actually care to understand at that point in my life. And so now that I'm doing the work that I'm doing, it's really all about education, because whomever will listen to what I have to say, I think it's really important that we start having those hard conversations. And nobody wants to talk to anybody about how they're feeling or what they're doing or, what's going on in their life. But really, truly, we have to think of mental health just like you would if you had a broken arm. It's got to
Yes.
be something we talk about. And so that's my whole mission, is getting people educated, getting people having those hard conversations. And I've learned so much over the past 5 years that I really just want to share this journey with everybody that will possibly take one of my classes or, have that fun, hard conversation with me on a podcast like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I was just going to say, like, my condolences to you, Kelly, and thank you for being a light and using your sadness to bring about awareness. I'm a special education teacher by trade, and all my programs are severely focused on mental health. And it's exactly like you said. I think a lot of people, mental health is everywhere. If you are alive and you're breathing, mental health is the key component of who you are. There can be good mental health and bad, and I think people even forget about the good mental health. But then focusing on what to do when you're not okay is something that I believe should be taught in mainstream schools, and should be taught, to all beings everywhere, because it doesn't matter who you are, even when you have the greatest mental health. Life happens, right? And tragedy happens and crises happens. And like you said, it could be a drug. And I always find that mental health sometimes goes very much partnered with, addictions, because a lot of people are masking their mental health, numbing the pain with the addiction. And so a lot of people just are naive to it, or like, oh, he's a drug addict, oh, he's an alcoholic, or, they don't care. But when you hear their stories, when you know the pain that they're going through, it's very, very difficult to take that on. But again, if we open up and we talk about it and we give tools and resources to learn how to deal with it, the world can shift just based on that education factor of knowing how to deal with your brain, which really defines all of who we are.
Yeah, I think I mean, you put it perfect also, is we all have mental health, right? Like it's not this dirty word, and it's not this thing that happens. Like we all have mental health, but we don't all struggle with a mental health illness or disorder, right? But we can at any point in time in our life. And so that's what we need to understand, is that we all have it, and we all could potentially have a mental health challenge at one point. But it's really important for everyday people like you and I and everybody else that might be watching this, that you can be that one person that creates that safe place for whomever might be going through this challenge. And you could ultimately save their life by showing them that they're not alone, and you're asking those hard questions and you're not judging them. I think that's the biggest thing, is that, I mean, mental health has no borders. It doesn't discriminate. It touches every single socioeconomical group. And so why not have the conversations?
Can I ask you, Kelly, where are you from? Where is your organization? where are you founded? Where are you working?
Yeah, I am in Aurora, Colorado, and that's where we founded, and I work out of my house. So
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah,
Everybody
that's
works out of their house now, so
well,
true.
that's
Yes.
normal.
well, it's the majority. Well, you know, I wanted to say because looking at your website, and we were talking about awareness, especially for mental health, and especially now, it seems like everybody's kind of like waking up now. I think people are waking up more about how important mental health is. They don't treat it because they used to treat it like, well, you know, there's somebody going through something, you know, they'll be okay. But now it's not that, because we're seeing so many people like you know, like your sister and other people we've been seeing throughout the years now, especially with the COVID that hit, that just increased it. And it seemed like a lot of people are like, oh my God, this is real. I mean, really real, that we need to look at this to the point where it's just like if you get a broken arm, mental health is even more, because now we're talking about your mind and you know how you function. And so, Kelly, I love how you have certain resources on your website, like a mental health kit, because again, being aware and then knowing what to do.
I mean, I know everybody is kind of sick about talking about the pandemic, but I think it's still really important because we're not fully out of it yet. And people are really starting to be much more aware, like you said, of what's actually happening. And as humans, we are not conditioned to isolate. We are social beings, and we really truly need that connection, whether it's physical or mental. We need that connection. And so having us isolated, even the ones that have the introverted energy, they still need that connection.
Yeah.
And so now we're all kind of waking up to this, like, oh man, like people are actually important in my life. Like I need to find this connection. And so it's more important nowadays to talk about it. But other than just talking about it, we need to take action also. Like we need to get educated. Like, how do I actually talk to somebody? What, like you said, I talk about my sister, I say completed suicide. There's a reason why I don't say committed, and it's because it really is related to a crime. And in the mental health world, we're trying to change the verbiage that we use. So we're saying completed or died by suicide. And it's really breaking down those stigma and changing our verbiage around mental health in general, so that it's not such a hard thing to talk about.
Yeah.
So how does your organization work? Do people that, like, are you known as a center? Like if somebody's suffering from mental health, go and contact these people, they can help you. Like, how does it work? Where do you get your clients from? Do you go give educational workshops? Maybe tell us a little bit more about, you know, exactly what you do and who's involved and all of that.
Yeah. So our main thing is education. So we offer multiple levels of education. We start with our Shift Your Mindset Boot Camp, which is really for people that might be struggling or suffering with a mental health challenge. That just gives them more tools, more resources, so that they can really start shifting their mindset from the negative to the positive. And then our next level of education is in partnership with Mental Health First Aid USA. So we have multiple educators, and we're trying to train more, but right now we do one class per month, and we kind of flip-flop the curriculums that we offer. So there's a youth version, which is adults assisting youth. And then there's an adult version, which is adults assisting adults. And then we're just now jumping into the teen version, which is actually designed for 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. And then our next level, which just rolled out, which I am very proud of because I built it, but it's our own proprietary curriculum. It's called Breaking the Cycle of Trauma. But ultimately, it's another added layer of understanding mental health, why understanding trauma is so important, how it affects you from over the time of, like, during maturation periods, and then how we can build in resilience and do a safety and self-care plan. And then the last level is you can actually become an instructor for our curriculum.
Wow.
So we partner with a lot of different, we do. I mean, a lot of everything that we do is education based, up to even our events that we do. We do a film festival every single year. We're going into our fifth film festival next year, and it is a global film festival. So we have films from across the world that are all centered around mental health and suicide, and we bring in the filmmakers and do a Q&A with them to understand why they created the film, and then give more information to the audience. And then, like you were kind of talking about too, we also have a gala every single year just to showcase all of our sponsors and our donors. And then we added last year a cornhole tournament. I don't think we're going to be able to do it again this year, but we're going to find one other fun event to do throughout the year. And I forgot, on the education, we also do we launched a Give Youth a Voice, and it's ultimately designed for youth in mind, because in Colorado right now, suicide is the first leading cause of death for ages 10 to 14.
Oh my God.
Wow.
10 to 14? Wow.
Yeah.
Young.
And it just is getting younger and younger. So like, now is the time to start having these conversations. Your kids are going to understand and find out whether you think they are or aren't. So let's have those conversations, and we're building a whole curriculum and program around that we can offer to schools, offer to gyms, offer to youth groups, really anywhere that youth are involved, so that they have the tools specifically and not just the adults.
And when you are referring to mental health, you're looking at all the different diagnoses, right? Like, it doesn't matter, you're bipolar, schizophrenic, it could even, it could be an eating disorder, it can be, it could be anxiety, depression. It's, you're looking at all the various aspects of mental health, and how to cope and how to manage. And like you said, the most important thing that your charity is doing is educating people who have mental health, and educating people who are not suffering from mental health, but can maybe be the caregivers, the light and the hope, and or know how to manage the people around them that are suffering from the mental health.
Yes.
Which again, I fully support 100% your organization, what you're doing. And I feel like these are the lessons that need to be taught in the elementary schools and the high schools, and start young, because our world is changing at such an alarming rate. Actually, like when you look at it, even me in the classroom as a teacher, like I see how much the kids, the students, the environment is constantly changing. And if anything, the students and the youth are having more and more pressure, more and more anxiety, more and more depression, because there's so much going on in the world and in their lives, and with this phone that unfortunately is becoming the world. And I know my students, when they see their phones, like that's the end all be all. Like, they believe it. There's nothing else. And sometimes I'd say to them, like, life is not just about the social media, but to them it is, and that is real, and that can target them to, like you said, to the point of a suicide. And it's sad. And like 10 to 14, to know that is the highest suicide rate between those age causes of death. Those are alarming facts, and those are sad realities that need to be confronted. And I've always said, I am the teacher that doesn't believe in academics, not because I don't think academics is important, but those real issues that define and make up who we are, nobody's really teaching us. If we want to seek that information, we need to go and find that by ourselves, by doing workshops or paying fees or doing all the work that you have started to do. And again, how do we get this message to all people at a young age and make it like, not that history and English isn't important, but make this part of the curriculum?
Yeah.
What I really love, Kelly, is the one that you created, Breaking the Cycle of Trauma Master Education. And you go from, domestic violence, substance abuse to bullying. And that really connects with me, and even the grief part of it, because I was bullied heavily when I was younger. I mean, for like 5 years, I was bullied, where people basically told me I wouldn't be anything. I mean, there was some kids telling me I'm from another planet. They thought I was from another planet because I was just they just thought I was just nothing really. And to take that on, and when you're growing up, in your 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s, well, I'm telling my age, and still have that lingering in your mind. And sometimes, you know, you don't realize that it still might be there when certain other things happen in your life. So that's why I'm loving what you created, because you got to get to the core, you know, of what's going on. You know, you have the symptom, you know, you're like, well, why is Barbara all this and that? But then there's something more deeper that you have to really dig deep. And that's what we miss out sometime with people. And that's why they have the mental health issues, because, you know, we be like, well, they're just, this is how they are. Or, you know, they don't do a check-in with nobody. I mean, me and Serena, I'm always checking with her. I'm just as an example. I said, Serena, you okay? Hey, love you, you know. And I think that's what we need to do, because when you see something different with somebody, that should be kind of like a trigger to say, okay, they're not acting the way they usually do, or something is not, you know, feeling right. And we need to really look at that, I think, better than what we do, because you can be saving a life by checking in.
Yeah, that's actually the reason why I wrote this curriculum, is because we don't talk about trauma enough, and how we literally lock it and store it in our bodies, which ultimately manifests. And I know you were talking about yoga, and yogis understand this, right? It manifests different illnesses and disorders, and I call them dis-ease, because it's, you know, it's all these things that your body starts manifesting because you are locking trauma in your body. And my main was, I actually paired two traumas together. And that's kind of what started my journey on. I also do coaching. I do neuro-linguistic programming coaching. And that was the journey for me. Was my son had seizures, and then my sister passed, and he actually had his last episode of seizures on her celebration of life. So for me, I actually locked two traumas together, not knowing that. And I was living in fear. I was living in fear of losing anybody else in my life. And I was going 0 to red in 2.5 seconds. And it wasn't something that I was conscious of. And I was just surviving. And so once I was able to free that space, and really, I went back and not relived, but I transformed those traumas more into curiosity through some of the NLP techniques. I was finally free, and I was able to speak about my sister. I'm able to speak about my son's seizures, and there were so many things just from those traumas that were keeping me stuck. So it's true, like, and that's where this curriculum came from. Was I want people to understand that, like you talked about, like, bullying can affect you your whole entire life if you don't have a chance to resolve what's going on. And thank you for sharing your journey too, because it's definitely something we do need to start talking about. And you know, the more people we can get educated, the better our lives, our communities, and kids. I mean, we're just, yeah.
And one thing that you said, that the other thing that you said at the beginning of the show that really, you know, I felt a lot, was your experience with your sister. I mean, I also have a sister who suffers from severe mental health. And it's like you said, like, if you don't understand the illness, you could be contributing to it. Right. And you don't, because you don't understand, like, in your mind, you're thinking, like, what the hell is wrong with them? Like, just do this and just do that and behave like this and do this. And then you also start to, like, get angry and or bitter or upset at them because they're not getting it. And again, that can create a negative snowball effect. So if, like you said, if we are aware of what the people are going through, we can approach them with so much more compassion and empathy and love that will help you as the person who has to deal with it, and help the person who is actually dealing with it. Because if you don't know that, that can turn an ugly situation really ugly, right? And that's the key. And, you know, my heart goes out to you, because I'm sure as you live through the education piece and recognizing, I'm sure that's really hard for you as well, and saying, shit, sorry, excuse my language, Barbara, like, I coulda, shoulda, woulda, right? And so that's why, by providing this education to people, anybody who's living with the mental health or living with somebody with the mental health, these kind of courses can be an absolute game changer, saving people's lives, saving family, crises, trauma, in just knowing what to do and how to do it properly.
Yeah, and I called my sister the crazy sister. I thought she was over dramatic, right? Those were the terms that I used when she was alive. And now in retrospect and with all the resources and knowledge that I have now, I'm like, man, I was not very nice. And I call them the shoulda, coulda, woulda, hoodoo, voodoo, we do's. That's what I call them. And you go through those. You're like, well, what if I had these skills? What if, but the whole thing is that I really truly believe that she's always been one that has led me into paths that I never thought I would be experiencing. And so I really look at this journey as something that she led me into that was my purpose in life. And so although it stemmed from a tragedy, it really truly has been
A blessing.
Incredible, a blessing. Yeah. Like, I mean, amazing journey that I don't ever want anybody else to go through. So that's why I'd
you
love
do.
to educate people, right?
And it's just wonderful that you did a tribute to her by creating this nonprofit, and that she lives on through this and through you and through everybody that's getting awareness, everybody that's getting help, everybody that's getting trained, everything that you're doing. I mean, it's stemming from her. She's like that, I always say, the ground where you have the dirt and the seed. She's like that seed, and everybody's growing from that to understand how important this is. So I commend you. I really commend you for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Commend you. Well, I know our time is short, and I want to make sure that Kelly gets in if she wants any lasting words to tell our audience how to reach and other things that might be going on, and then we'll just close out from there.
Of course. Yeah. So you can find us we're across every single social media you could possibly imagine, even TikTok. We're bccevolution.org. And then you can also reach out to myself personally. You can send us a message. We have a whole bunch of resources on our website. Join a class, get educated. We do everything virtually. So really you have no excuse. But I just want to say, and the thing that I always say at the end is, if we open our hearts, minds, and mouths together, we can make mental health matter.
Oh, I love it.
I love that too.
That's hard. Well, thank you, Kelly, for coming on. Serena, any last words for Kelly before we get to our last part of the show?
No, I just want to thank you for the work that you're doing. And I hope that everybody gets to experience some and goes to look at your website. I'm going to go take a look at your website. Maybe Barbara and I are going to take one of your courses. Who knows? But to everyone watching, mental health is real. It's everywhere. And if you do just, engage a little bit and understand it better, it can literally change the world. So thank you, Kelly, so much for BBC Evolution and what you're doing. Everyone go check that out. And it's been a pleasure learning from you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yay.
We'll be right back. Thank you.
Today, over 1 billion children in the world live in poverty. At Help Heal Humanity, our goal is to connect children in need with people like you who want to make a difference. Our student sponsorship program helps provide children with the necessities for a healthy and successful start to life. When you sponsor a student, you're not only giving them the gift of education, you're giving them the best chance for a brighter future. 100% of your donation supports the tuition fees, uniforms, textbook, and school supplies needed to thrive in a safe and healthy learning environment. Sponsor a student now and be the catalyst.
Wonderful, awesome, amazing. So before we sign off, as we said we're going to do, and you're going to hear us every week, I want Mrs. Wonderful Queen Serena to kind of just talk a little bit about the campaign. And I'm going to take myself down so you can really listen to what she has to say.
Whoa. Okay. Hello, everyone. And I'd like to take a minute to introduce you to our Help Heal Humanity $100,000 campaign. This is one of the biggest campaigns we've ever put together. The intention behind the campaign is to send 100 kids back to school this September 2022-2023 school year in our community in Haiti. And what this covers is the full tuition fees, exam fees, registration fees, school bags, school supplies, 2 uniforms, and all the textbooks for 100 children to go to school. And in addition to that, is to receive a hot cooked meal, 2 snacks, and water daily. Haiti is one of the poorest countries in the world. It has been struggling significantly since its 2010 earthquake. It's had another earthquake last year in August of 2020. Also, a recent assassination of their prime minister. Their president, not their prime minister. My apologies. And the complete gang violence. Haiti is in a complete state of emergency. And we have been working on the grounds in Haiti since 2010. We have successfully built a school. We have successfully been running that school for 5 years now. And this year in particular, we need everyone's help more than ever to bring back all 100 students. With, again, full school fees and meal plans. And we know that education is the key to success. We know that this is going to give students structure, hope, opportunity, and start to create the new future leaders of this country. So $5 is like, everybody giving $5 adds up. It's $500 to send one student to school for a year. I've been telling everybody to have a little dinner party. Have a little dinner party at your house. Everybody bring something. It could be like a smorgasbord, and then bring $25, bring $30, bring $50. And if you have, 6 or 7 of your friends over, your family members, you guys can have an incredible night of eating dinner, celebrating each other's family and friendship loves, and at the same time send a student to school for a year. So go to our Instagram, go to, www.helphealhumanity.org, go to our Facebook, go to our Instagram, Help Heal Humanity. And, like I said, every little bit adds up to change. And I can say firsthand, we have people on the grounds. There is no paid employees. 100% of your donation is going directly to the children and the families in need. And together we can do this. So please consider being part of our HHH student sponsorship family. Go to our website, go to our, social medias, donate $5. Anything over $20 comes with a tax receipt. We are registered in Canada and the US, so we can give that charitable tax receipt back to you. And together we can literally help heal humanity, one student, one classroom, and one educational building at a time. So thank you, Barbara. And thank you, everybody. I really, really, really do believe this is a massive global effort. And if everyone just gave a little bit, it would add up to a lot. And we really need your help. And as we said at the beginning of the show, Help Heal Humanity is all heart. We are all heart. Nobody's getting a paycheck here. We are giving because we believe in the power of service. We believe in love. And if you believe in, helping us and making a difference, please donate to our $100,000 campaign. And I think that's it. I love you, Barbara. I love you, humanity. Thank you for the show and for always being the light. Like, you're amazing.
Thank you, Queen Serena. And she said it all. So all I'm going to say is we will see you next Thursday. And remember to look down below and follow what this lady said. That's all I have to say.
Donate. We love you. We'll see you next week.